Let the grind begin. The opening day pomp and circumstance now behind us. Tonight we start the daily routine that is a Major League Baseball season. Still an occasion of real moment for D-backs fans. It's the debut of Shelby Miller up against the Rockies' Chad Bettis. It's Arizona Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Chase Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly along the way. Game 2 of a 3-game series, the D-backs and the Colorado Rockies. And Bob, we are all set to put last night in the rearview mirror here. It's the D-backs debut of Shelby Miller.
You know, it may have been the official opening day last night or opening night last night, but for Shelby Miller, this is his opening night for the Arizona Diamondbacks. This is a guy that has to be looking forward to pitching in front of this Diamondbacks offense. He was got the worst run support in the majors last year, 2.5 runs per game when he was on the mound, so he's looking forward to some offense.
A real commodity going into his age 25 season, already an established rotation workhorse, a 30-start, 200-inning all-star with a 3.02 ERA. Last night, Chris Owings in center field. Tonight, it's the rookie Socrates Brito.
Opening day for Socrates Brito tonight. He got into the ball game as a defensive replacement, got an at-bat last night, but you know he is fired up for this ball game tonight.
Looks like Brito's going to play a lot. He came into the game last night in left and gets the start tonight in center.
He's a valuable guy. Even when he's on the bench, you can use him as a pinch runner. You can use him as a defensive replacement, a double switch late in the ball game. He fills a lot of roles for this team.
You can see the D-backs are debuting their new teal uniform combo tonight. Last night, not an offensive disaster, Bob, for the Diamondbacks by any stretch. David Peralta had 3 hits, 2 hits each for Segura, Tomas, and Nick Ahmed.
Yeah, and really good to see David get 2 of his hits against a left-handed pitcher. We've talked about it in the past. Mechanically, he stays in really good position against those lefties. Hopefully, it'll pay off against Chad Bettis, the righty, tonight.
Oh, big crowd expected here again tonight. Game 2 of the 3-game series. And for more, we go down to the field to Kate. Kate.
Well, guys, you mentioned this being opening day part 2 when Shelby Miller takes the mound, and this is Miller's 3rd team in 3 years. But he told me he's already feeling at home here in Arizona, in part to the fact that this is such a close-knit group of guys here in the clubhouse. Miller told me making the transition to the D-backs was one of the easiest for him because he went into this clubhouse. Everyone was very friendly. He called it a family, and he said he was just able to mesh with the guys, and he really felt something special. So we know there are a lot of expectations for Miller. The Diamondbacks believe he has something special. They gave up a lot for him, but Miller said he has those same expectations for the Diamondbacks, believing something special will happen this season. And only time will tell. We're counting you down to first pitch. Shelby Miller making his Arizona Diamondbacks debut right after this.
Arizona Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by CenturyLink. Switch to CenturyLink Prism TV for an advanced TV experience. Learn more at cprismtv.com. By Jack in the Box and the Jumbo Jack, a home run for your mouth. And by Cox Gigablast. How will you live the gig life? Baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. By Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by your Valley Honda dealers, where you get more standard features for less money. A gorgeous night in downtown Phoenix. Roof and panels open. Shelby Miller and Chad Bettis. D-backs and Rockies. First pitch next on Fox Sports Arizona. And panels open. A beautiful night at home here in Arizona. It's opening week of the 2016 Major League Baseball season. Game 2 of a 3-game set tonight. It's the Colorado Rockies visiting the Arizona Diamondbacks on just a gorgeous evening for baseball. Diamondbacks trying to put last night's opening day disappointment behind them. And look ahead to the Diamondback debut of right-hander Shelby Miller. He's up against the Rockies' Chad Bettis. And Walt Weiss's Rockies, boy, last night, Bob, the second straight season they scored 10 runs on opening day. They beat Milwaukee at Miller Park last year 10-0.
We know this Rockies offense is capable of busting out the way they did in that ball game last night. Power up and down the lineup, some veteran presence in the middle of that lineup. Walt Weiss just hoping that Chad Bettis and the rest of the pitching staff can do their part this year.
They've got another loaded lineup tonight against Shelby Miller.
It looks an awful lot like last night's lineup. Charlie Blackmon will lead it off out in center field. Trevor Story with 2 home runs in his major league debut. First player to hit 2 home runs in their debut on opening day. He'll be at short. Carlos Gonzalez with a laser beam home run of his own last night. He'll be in right field. Nolan Arenado at third. Gerardo Parra, the former D-back, out in left field. Nick Hundley doing the catching. Ben Paulson at first base tonight for Mark Reynolds. DJ LeMahieu at second base, and right-hander Chad Bettis on the mound.
Your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks. He's right-hander Shelby Miller. His D-backs debut tonight. Acquired in December. Last year, Shelby's only season in Atlanta following a trade from the Cardinals. And he put up career bests in ERA, strikeouts, and innings pitched. That 6-17 record. A run support issue. 5 of those losses came when giving up 2 or fewer runs.
He had 21 quality starts of his 33 last season. The one-loss record, as we talk about all the time, is really not indicative of how good a pitcher throws the ball, and certainly was the case for Shelby Miller last year.
Take a look at the Diamondbacks around Shelby Miller. It's our Eye on Defense, brought to you by Nationwide Vision Center.
There's young Socrates Brito manning center field tonight. He'll be flanked by Yasmani Tomas in left and David Peralta in right field. Jake Lamb and Nick Ahmed once again on the left side of the infield, with Gene Segura and Paul Goldschmidt on the right side. Wellington Castillo doing the catching for right-hander Shelby Miller.
And BB, I saw you huddled up with your staff earlier today. Time for our Valley Honda keys to the game.
Yeah, I mean, I blame it on March Madness. You know, it's win or go home, and that's the last big sporting event before baseball season starts. So everybody comes into baseball season with that same win or go home attitude. Well, we've got 6 months of this to go, so we'll blame it on March Madness, the panic last night. And once again, like we talk about every year, win a series. You're not going to win every ball game. There's too many good players and too many good teams in the league. Win series.
We are set to go. Brian O'Nora is our plate umpire tonight. Charlie Blackman will lead it off against Shelby Miller on a lovely night here in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. Glad you're with us on Fox Sports Arizona Plus tonight. And be careful with Blackman. 6 leadoff homers last year. Blackman a walk and an RBI double last night. He scored a run. He had 287 last year and stole 43 bases.
Shelby Miller will mix up his pitches. He throws a couple of different fastballs. A two-seamer when he's looking for a ground ball down at the bottom of the strike zone. He'll elevate a four-seamer. He'll cut the ball in on lefties a little bit. It was a good straight changeup and a big curveball.
Now, he has really evolved for a guy that's only 25 years old. Really discovered that two-seam sinking fastball and the cutter last year. Two-one is fouled off right by Trevor Story in the on-deck circle.
An adjustment to his grip on the changeup. Obviously, it's an off-speed pitch. He takes enough off, but he got a lot more movement. A lot of downward action on that changeup. That's turned into a ground ball pitch for him as well.
You'll see everything Shelby Miller throws moves. It sinks, it rises, it cuts. 2-2 pitch. Bounces that one a full count, 3-2. Shelby Miller already with 3 major league seasons of at least 30 starts under his belt, both in St. Louis and Atlanta. And still only 25, coming off an all-star year with the Braves last season. An ERA just outside the top 10 in the National League.
That's my fault for thinking.
One hop to Segura. One away.
Always a good sign when you see that ball on the ground and Shelby Miller on the mound. That means that sinker's down, the changeup's down. Hitters invariably hit the top half of the baseball. Should be a busy night for the D-backs infield.
Well, you want to make sure that this guy hits it on the ground after what we saw last night in his major league debut. 23-year-old shortstop Trevor Story, who said last night was something you don't even dream of, something certainly he hadn't dreamed of. The first player in baseball history to homer twice on opening day in his major league debut.
A dream for one player and a nightmare for the other.
Yeah. And they were not cheapies, both off Sankreki. Second and third ever at bats in the big leagues.
Had a big spring training with 6 home runs and 13 runs driven in the Cactus League.
And of course, with Troy Tulowitzki now in Toronto, Story is the shortstop. And there are a lot of comparisons with Tulo, aren't there?
Yeah, a lot of comparisons. I mean, even the way they put their batting gloves on, but we're going to break down the swings. Tulo had a little bit more of a toe tap. As he brought that left foot back, he would tap the toe on the ground and then stride into the pitch. Story just kind of glides into it without the toe tap. At the point of contact, their swings are almost identical. Tulowitzki had his front shoulder closed a little bit more at the initiation of the swing, and Story's a little bit more open, has his bat pointed straight down his back, a lot like Goldie does. But a lot of similarities.
Story, one of those members of Camp Tulo every year, along with the Diamondbacks Brandon Drury, that work out with Tulowitzki in the offseason. Miller behind here, 2 balls and no strikes. And a lot of the early parts of Shelby Miller's spring training starts have gone like this. He'll spike a few up there. He'll look not quite comfortable on his own 2 feet, and then he generally settles in.
But, rather miss down than up.
Yeah.
You know, if you're trying to sink that ball and get ground balls, you'd rather miss farther down than leave it over the middle of the plate, especially to a guy like Story.
9 pitches so far, only 3 strikes. There's a strike, 3-1. Gets it in the air, right center field. David Peralta drifting near the pool. They keep it in the yard, 2 down. And boy, this lineup, as we saw last night, is relentless. You take a deep breath there, but guess what? Cargo, Arenado, Parra, and off you go. Here comes Gonzalez.
Offensively, the Rockies have a real nice combination of contact hitters, guys like DJ LeMahieu and Nick Hundley, Gerardo Parra, but then you've got the Thunder in there as well. It's just, as you said, relentless. There's really no breather inning where you feel like I can go out there and get 3 quick outs and get my team back in the dugout. You have to work every inning.
Shift is on for Cargo. And again, Miller is down in the dirt. Jake Lamb, the third baseman, on the first base side of second, out there with second base umpire John Tumpane, and that's Gene Segura in shallow right field. And Golding on the line at first. And Miller behind in the count again, 2-0. Went to 3-2 on Blackman. Fell behind 3-0 on Story. Now it's 2-0 on Carlos Gonzalez. That's in there, 2-1. Cargo a homer and a single last night. He scored twice. And his home run in the 3rd inning off Zach Greinke, clocked by StatCast at just over 117 miles per hour off the bat.
Fast homer.
It was an absolute laser over the pool. Waves at that one. In the major leagues all of last year, there were only 2 home runs that flew faster, and both were hit by Giancarlo Stanton. That got out of here on a rope.
Never got very high off the ground. Pitch up and out over the plate and got down and through it. A lot of backspin.
2-2. Goalie is there. He'll take it himself. A workmanlike 1-2-3 first for Shelby Miller, and we are underway at Chase Field in downtown Phoenix. Chase Field last night, the longest 9-inning game in the history of this ballpark, 4 hours and 11 minutes, and despite the loss, Bob, Chip Hale's Diamondbacks still winners of 8 of their last 10 against these Rockies here at Chase.
And here's how Chip's going to line them up tonight. Gene Segura once again in the leadoff spot playing second base. Socrates Brito batting second out in center field. Paul Goldschmidt in his customary 3 spot playing first base. David Peralta out in right field. Wellington Castillo once again doing the catching. Jake Lamb at third base. Yasmani Tomas out in left field. Shelby Miller batting 8th. And Nick Ahmed, the shortstop, batting 9th.
Up and in, the leadoff man Gene Segura from Chad Bettis. He's your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for the Rockies, now in his 4th big league season. A former 2nd-round pick out of Texas Tech. And Bettis is a former relief pitcher who now, as a starter, has really lent some stability to Colorado's often troubled rotation. Last year, 20 starts, did pretty well, and able to go at least 6 innings in 12 of those 20 starts. So he was a bullpen guy. Now here he is starting their 2nd game of the year.
It seems like the Rockies have that issue with a lot of pitchers. And I'm not quite sure if they're a starter or reliever. They try him in the bullpen. They give him a spot start here or there. But I think Bettis has found a home in this rotation.
Segura last night 2 for 5 with the Brewers last year, hit just under 260. A very aggressive leadoff man. Pair of singles. He scored a run last night. Right at DJ LeMahieu. Let's take a look at the Rockies around Chad Bettis. It's our Eye on Defense, brought to you by Nationwide Vision Center.
Same outfield that we saw last night for Walt Weiss. Gerardo Parra in left, Charlie Blackmon in center, Carlos Gonzalez over in right, Nolan Arenado with a couple of nice defensive plays. What's new in the ball game last night? Trevor Story at shortstop, DJ LeMahieu at second, Ben Paulson over at first base with Nick Hundley doing the catching for Chad Bettis.
And the Rockies will shade Socrates Brito toward the right-hand side. Story, the shortstop, just about behind the bag at second. And Brito getting the start against the right-hander in center field. DJ LeMahieu, the former Gold Glover, one more time. 2 up, 2 down. And here's Goldie.
I didn't mean to interrupt you there, partner. A slight pull shift, as you mentioned, for Socrates Brito, a guy that doesn't have a lot of big league time. But all these ball clubs have scouts in spring training, too. And they had a lot of opportunities to see Socrates Brito in spring training. Maybe some of their minor league scouts that saw him coming up through the Diamondbacks system. So the Rockies right away play a little bit of a pull shift on Brito.
Goldie last night, as you see there, 0 for 4, a couple of strikeouts against Jorge De La Rosa. Also had a base on balls. I think it's interesting how both the Rockies and the D-backs, Bob, have their least experienced hitters, their rookies, batting second in the lineup.
Well, you talk about a comfortable spot in either lineup. For Story batting ahead of Carlos Gonzalez, and for Socrates Brito tonight batting in front of Paul Goldschmidt. You figure to get some pitches to hit.
They call that protection, I guess, for the rookies in there.
Well, that's what they call it. I don't know if I'd put it that way, but you know, just common sense would tell you that opposing pitchers are going to go after the young guy because they don't want him on base for the guy that's at the plate right now.
1 and 2 on Paul Goldschmidt. This is hit well, deep right center field. Blackmon at the track. Oh, and it's gone. First of the year for Goldie, and that was a jumbo jack.
Oh my! That was nearly out into our pre and post game show set out there above the center field wall. He hit it out that tunnel right above the 413 mark. Oh my, just a cookie right down the middle of the plate, and Paul Goldschmidt is all over it. I'm not quite sure what Charlie Blackmon was doing out there. He kind of deked like he was going to catch the ball on the warning track. He'd have needed a real tall ladder to catch that ball.
Every single bit of it.
That Goldie sound.
Peralta dunks it into center. Well, David, who had 3 hits last night, is on base again. A home run and a single with 2 outs against Bettis.
Well, for those of you waiting for the train horn, I made an executive decision, and we talked about it before the ball game. We're going to save it for when David is in full freight train mode.
Which would be, I guess, an extra base hit.
Extra base hit, going first to third on a base hit, maybe scoring from first base on a double. When he gets his head down and his arms start pumping, you'll hear the train whistle.
The wreck of the old 97. Wellington Castillo 0 for 4 with a walk last night. Where base hits go to die. The short way for the force, but Goldie hits his first of the year, and it's 1-0 Diamondbacks.
On the Paul Goldschmidt home run. That didn't take long, fans. The D-backs home run tonight means a free jumbo jack tomorrow at participating Jack-in-the-Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
Our plan is to keep you very well fed this year. And this one's on Goldie and our friends at Jack-in-the-Box. I gotta say, I love these uniforms. These things, these are sweet.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure how the teal was going to work with the red and the whole thing, but yeah, I really like these.
Yeah, I'm digging these. The back has got that snakeskin diamond pattern with the gray, and there's the snakehead baseball logo. The teal is in there. These look gorgeous. Nolan Arenado leads off the Rockies second against Shelby Miller, and the patch for our beloved Joe Garagiola Sr. as we broadcast Diamondbacks baseball from the Joe Garagiola broadcast booth here at Chase Field. And Joe, we miss you. Arenado last year led the majors in RBIs, tied Bryce Harper for the league lead in home runs.
Not that anybody could ever forget Joe Garagiola Sr., but every day we come to work, we walk down the hall, and there's pictures of him back in the day as a player, as a youngster growing up, his broadcasting career.
A high chopper. Ahmed has got to hurry here. He is so quick with that release.
They had to wait back. High chopper really doesn't do him any good to charge that ball. Just play it on that second big hop, and plenty of arm to get it across there in time to get Nolan Arenado.
Old friend Gerardo Parra. A big night for Parra last night. 3 hits, all doubles. He also stole a base and scored a run back in the National League West. A 3-year free agent deal with the Rockies. One more time.
I'll tell you, he is some kind of smooth, but the thing that kind of goes unnoticed is how quickly he makes that exchange. This was in the ball game last night. A line drive off the bat of Trevor Story almost turns it into a double play. Watch him make the exchange while he's still in midair. Most players have to wait until their feet are back on the ground before they get into that glove. get a grip on the baseball and try to make that throw to first base. Nick was actually making the exchange while he was hanging in midair.
He is special down there. He's about to become a dad. Amanda's, I think she's about 6 months pregnant now. Nick Hundley. More members of D-back Nation.
Yeah. That's why he hits so well in spring training. Baby needs new shoes.
That's right. Nick Hundley, the U of A Wildcat. There is the obligatory reference. On base 3 times last night, a single and a pair of walks. And this is something we hear Tony La Russa talk about all the time. There's U of A in the house. But Tony talks all the time about the idea and the importance of a shutdown inning. Your team gets you a run, and the pitcher is supposed to go out there and hold it and get 3 quick outs and sort of underscore or emphasize the idea that the other team is behind. There's the chief baseball officer and Hall of Famer. And he is a big shutdown inning guy.
Well, this game is so much about momentum, and you kind of felt it in the ball game last night when the Diamondbacks pulled back within a couple of runs at 7-5, and you felt like the game was still within reach. And then the big 3-run homer just kind of took the wind out of the sails. The momentum that the Diamondbacks had built through those middle innings was gone. Yeah, so these shutdown innings, after your team scores, get them right back in that dugout as quickly as you can.
Jake Lamb goes right through Jake. A tricky hop on him. He kind of got all spun around there, and Hundley's aboard. We'll see how they score that.
Well, we've talked throughout spring about how deep Jake Lamb is playing at third base. He just kind of misplayed that one right there, fielding it off to his left side. But there's a saying that infield instructors use: low to high. Start with your glove low. You can always come up on the ball, but if you start with your glove high, it's very tough to go down if that ball happens to stay down.
Looks like he never did touch it, so it's a base hit for Hundley, the 2-out single. First base runner for the Rockies. The left-hand hitting first baseman, it's Big Ben Paulson. Paulson coming off his first full season with the Rockies last year. He hit .277 with 11 home runs. Shift is on. Jake Lamb, almost the same play, but this time it's from the second base area. That goes down as a 5-6 putout at second base into the shift. And there is Jake, bottom 2 coming up. Goldie's homered. It's 1-0 D-backs. Chase Field. D-backs lead the Rockies 1-0. Hey fans, stay up to date with the D-backs this year when they're at home and on the road. Check out Fox Sports Arizona's social media platforms. Well, there you go right there on Facebook, the Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, the whole thing. Exclusive videos, photos, interviews, game previews, analysis, and interaction you won't find anywhere else. It's Fox Sports Arizona's social media platforms. There you go. I think it's working. Sounds like it's working. With the social media. Jake Lamb, who homered last night, leads off the second against Chad Bettis.
You kids and your gadgets.
And how about Jake Beebe last night homering off the lefty?
Yeah, got a pitch up and out over the plate, very much like the one Carlos Gonzalez hit into the pool area. Jake Lamb with a line drive into that Rockies bullpen down the right field line.
2-run homer and his second AB of the year. And a home run and a walk last night. And Yasmani Tomas, who had a very good night last night, one of the biggest hits of the ball game for the Diamondbacks, is on deck. Rockies have the shift on. They overload the right-hand side. 2-2 now. Of course, they do things a little differently than the Diamondbacks. They've got Nolan Arenado, 3-time Gold Glover, so they leave him on the left-hand side. That's usually when the Diamondbacks have this shift on. They put Ahmed there at the shortstop, but Arenado with all those gold gloves will man the side over there all by himself.
The ball got caught up underneath the mask of Nick Hundley that time, trapped it against his chest protector.
And Lamb swings through the 3-2 pitch. First strikeout for Bettis.
That's his best breaking pitch for Chad Bettis, that big curveball. You'll see quite a bit of those. You'll see some straight changeups, and he too will work his fastball both ways. He'll try to sink it. He'll throw some four-seamers, but this is his best breaking pitch.
That's really what's made him succeed as a starting pitcher. That slow curveball. Yasmani Tomas. Nice opener for Yasmani last night. He doubled in his first at bat of the year and then hit a big 2-run, 2-out single in that 5th inning.
Made a couple nice defensive plays too. I mean, they didn't really show up in the box score, but what looked like doubles off the bat, he was able to track them down and get the ball back in quickly to hold a couple of Rocky batters to a single.
Big cut at that one. Yasmani said last night the home runs will come. He says his main focus right now, driving in runs, helping the team win, and he did that last night. Reaches out and tapped that to LeMahieu at second. He's been busy over there. That's the 3rd ball hit to him. 2 outs in the 2nd. And once again, Chip Hale has the pitcher batting 8th. So here's Shelby Miller.
Shelby Miller.
Shelby, a very good athlete. He was an excellent receiver in high school on the football team in Texas. But Bettis answers, gets him to fly out to Cargo, and it's a 1-2-3 second. Diamondbacks lead the Rockies 1-0. Backs lead the Rockies 1-0. Geico history tonight, BB. We flash back to 1998. The Diamondbacks get in the win column for the first time ever. 3-2 they beat the Giants. Andy Bennis, who lost the first game in club history in his opening day start, bounced back with 7 solid innings to outpitch the Giants and Sean Estes. They started out 0-5, and they got in the win column on this day in 1998. And don't forget, Throwback Thursday is back, fans, this year. And before every throwback game, you can pick up a collectible poster celebrating each of the Diamondbacks championship titles. Collect all 5 this year. And the first Throwback Thursday game is coming up this week. And that's the opener of a 4-game set against the Cubs, Ruby De La Rosa and John Lackey. I'm digging this jam.
Yeah. Matty Williams with 3 base hits in that game.
You were right here in this booth for that, right? You and
boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Are they ever going to win a game? Holy Moses.
DJ LeMahieu leads it off. The great Tom Brenneman. LeMahieu, couple of singles last night, an RBI. He scored a run, and he dunks one in front of Peralta. A leadoff single in the 3rd, second hit for the Rockies against Shelby Miller.
You know, we've talked a lot throughout spring training. Jake Lamb's adjustment to his swing and how his bat stays in the hitting zone a little bit longer. I guess that's a description of DJ LeMahieu. He just gets the bat on the ball. They're not all line drives. They're not all hard hit fly balls. But a lot of them find holes in the infield, and in this case, just a little floater over the infield drops in front of David Peralta.
Top 10 in the National League in hitting last year with a .301 batting average. Bettis squares to bunt. It's high in the air. Goldie. They have a play at second, and they get the force on LeMahieu. Goldie charging in from first.
Nicely done right there. Goldie kind of lost his footing right there, just slipped ever so slightly, probably took away a chance for a double play. He just wanted to make sure he made a good throw to get that force play at second base.
So 1 out. Bettis the pitcher at first, and we go back to the top of the order. It's Charlie Blackmon who grounded out his first time up. This guy has really become a patient hitter up there. He's one of the leadoff guys that really sees a lot of pitches, works the count. Took it full in his first at bat against Miller, 3-2. And last year didn't swing at nearly the same number of first pitches that he did 2 years ago. And as a result, had much more consistent contact at the plate, more line drives, fewer ground balls. He's still aggressive, he says. Now he just kind of picks his spots when to be aggressive. Selectively aggressive, I guess.
Yeah, and he has that ability that good hitters have to foul off the tough pitcher's pitches. Those borderline pitch, maybe it's a strike, maybe it's out of the zone. Especially when he has 2 strikes, Charlie Blackmon is able to get a piece and stay alive, keep that at bat going.
Case in point. He is swinging at a lot fewer pitches than ever before, but the noteworthy thing, it's even pitches inside the strike zone. He's a lot more choosy now. It's a big contrast with the Diamondbacks' new leadoff man, Gene Segura. He is up there. First thing he sees that's hittable, he is swinging. Which is what the D-backs coaches have told him to do. Do your thing.
If that pitcher lets it go, Gene Segura's got a real good chance to swing at it.
Just missed on 1-2 right there. Brian O'Nora not biting.
That's a good spot for a 1-2 pitch. However, when you're ahead in the count, just nibble away at that outside corner. Had a little bit too much movement on that 2-seamer. Took it right out of the zone.
2-2. This is a great example of what we were talking about with Charlie Blackmon. Quickly down 0-2, and now once again he's up there with a full count. And trouble lurks. Blackmon a tough out for the D-backs last year. He hit over .340 versus Arizona. That's in the seats, and here we go.
Yeah, back in my playing days, the guy that I felt could do this better than anybody else was Bill Buckner.
Oh, Billy Buck.
Oh, you'd get him to a 2-strike count, and you might have to throw 15 pitches to get him out. He would just keep fouling balls off, even to the point of throwing his bat at pitches off the outside corner, but somehow he'd get a piece of them, and eventually the pitcher would get so frustrated he'd groove one and he'd lay out a line drive somewhere.
Goldie. Ahmed for one, and they roll it. Nobody turns that 3-6-3 better than America's first baseman Paul Goldschmidt. A double play gets Miller out of the third. It's 1-0 Diamondbacks. Goldie, Ahmed, and Goldie.
D-backs, and you know what that means if it holds up, fans. When the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. A day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com.
D-backs fans did a tremendous job of turning out last night. 48,165 here with us at Chase Field. Another good crowd here tonight for Game 2 of this 3-game series. Back tomorrow afternoon for a 12:40 getaway day start. Patrick Corbin and Tyler Chatwood, the pitching matchup. Then the Cubs come in starting Thursday for 4. Nick Ahmed leads off the Diamondback third against Chad Bettis, who has retired the last 4 he's faced. Nick had a pair of hits last night, including a double. So Bettis starting to settle in a bit. He gave up the home run and the single to Goldie and Peralta in the first, and has not allowed a base runner since. Bettis last year went down with right elbow inflammation in mid-July, missed more than a month. But came back near the end of August and pitched very well. 3 wins in his last 7 starts. The ERA was under 3. And that created some momentum for him going into this spring. And here he is, a former reliever, now their number 2 starter. And Walt Weiss said they saw plenty last year with Bettis, and everything they saw in camp this spring says he is on course to be right there again. And they feel very confident with him on the mound. Takes a special kind of dumb courage to be a Colorado Rockies pitcher. I mean, you got to be able to shrug off so much stuff. Here we go.
Oh, just a little above us.
Yeah. I thought that was going to be our first.
That remains to be seen. Bettis pitching a full season at Coors Field, and we've heard pitchers, and we've heard position players for that matter, talk about the physical demands of playing in that ballpark, even for a 3-game series. Takes a lot out of you playing at altitude. Or elevation. Which is it? At elevation or at altitude?
It's both.
Okay. Playing up there in that thin air.
Of course, it doesn't usually start snowing there until July, so there's that too. Second strikeout for Bettis. That's something that's really changed for Chad Bettis as a starter versus working as a reliever. His strikeout rate last season almost doubled as a starting pitcher. He averaged nearly 8 strikeouts for every 9 innings pitched. And the success, as we mentioned earlier, and Bob, you pointed this out, has come with more breaking stuff. That curveball, that changeup, they've really helped him because it's a fastball that lives in the very low 90s. So when he mixes it up, he's usually pretty effective. Segura lined out to DJ LeMahieu his first time up. Missed at the knees, a ball and a strike. This is in the air. Left field. Way back and gone. Gene Segura. 2-0 D-backs. Segura had a monster spring, and it carries over into game 2.
Wow. That ball was clobbered. That's a breaking ball that stayed up there above the belt for Gene Segura. No doubt about that one. It had a lot of air underneath it. Very high in the air and about 10 rows back in the bleachers.
That was a hanging nothing ball. Socrates Brito grounded out his first time up. And he knocks it through the shift. More of a shade, really. Brito with that great speed is aboard. The 4th hit for the Diamondbacks.
First baseman, Paul Goldschmidt.
Goldie homered his first time up, and it was a classic Goldie homer. He hit it 1.5 miles onto the concourse in right center field.
Talked about that Goldie sound all year last year. When he squares one up on the barrel of the bat, it makes such a crisp sound. Very few hitters can generate that kind of noise. Look out.
That one slipped.
It's a reaction from the fans. We're told 436 feet on that Paul Goldschmidt blast back in the first inning.
I believe it.
You know what Rocky Bridges would have said?
I can't wait for this.
It would have gone farther, but it bounced off the moon.
Your boy Rocky Bridges. I still think that's a made-up name.
No.
I know, he was a real guy.
He's a legend.
He is. I just love the name. If you were going to cast a baseball movie, the manager would be Rocky Bridges. Shut up, Dorn.
You know the movie Bull Durham?
Yeah.
The guy that played the manager in that movie? A lot of that was Rocky Bridges, you know, kind of a crusty old guy that lived at the ballpark. We talked about cage rats last night. Well, Rocky was a ballpark rat.
Lollygaggers. How do we ever win 8? It's a miracle. It's a miracle. 2-0 on Goldie. Goldie
seemed a little out of sorts last night. couple of check swings, a couple of very tentative takes of pitches. Just didn't look like he was comfortable at the plate. But the way he took that last changeup from Bettis, he's seeing the ball pretty good tonight.
Struck out at his first 2 at-bats against De La Rosa last night. Takes the 4-pitch walk here. First walk issued by Bettis, who had retired 5 in a row. Suddenly the home run to Segura, the Brito single, now a walk to Goldie. That put 2 on with 1 out for David Peralta.
Now batting, right fielder, David Peralta.
Peralta singled his first time up.
With Brito running at second base, that'll force Nolan Arenado to play a little closer to third base than he normally would with David Peralta at the plate. You can see Trevor Story, the shortstop, there on the second base side of the bag. Nolan Arenado, once again, the only defender on the left side of the infield, but much closer to third base this time.
Chop over the mound, LeMahieu. They flip the Story. That's all they'll get. Brito's in at third. Wellington Castillo now. They're on the corners with 2 outs.
Well, partner, it looked like Story might have had time to complete the relay throw onto first base, but I think because of the angle that he was coming at the bag there to try to turn that double play, he didn't feel comfortable throwing that ball, so he just hung on to it. David Peralta was still 3 or 4 steps away from the bag at first.
Castillo 0 for 1. Well, he's still looking for his first hit of the season. Bettis may hang the occasional curveball, but he usually has very good fastball command. Drop that one in there. 0-2.
A lot of late movement there. You can tell by the way Nick Hundley catches this ball with his glove moving inside off the plate and then tries to pull it back to the corner, and they get the call from Brian O'Nora. Has to come right back with a cutter in the same location. You know, you see that pitch on the inside corner moving into you, and it's called a strike, and then the guy comes right back with the same location, but this time the ball is moving back toward the plate. Greg Maddux was a master at that.
Two and two.
That looked a little better than the called strike.
Yeah, I was thinking, okay, I waited for Brian O'Nora to give this dramatic strike signal, and instead it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Carr going right. Diamondbacks get one more. It was Goldie in the first and Segura in the third. We go to the fourth. Diamondbacks lead the Rockies 2-0. Diamondbacks lead the Rockies 2-0, fourth inning. Hey fans, this week only, T-Mobile customers can get a free season-long subscription to MLB.TV Premium. Just go to T-Mobile.com/MLB to sign up now and catch every moment on America's fastest-growing LTE network. Trevor Story will lead off the fourth against Shelby Miller. Story, Gonzalez, Arenado, 2, 3, and 4 for the Rockies. And no, Story did not hit a home run in his first at bat tonight. He flied out.
He's slumping.
Yeah.
Shelby Miller has to have real good memories of pitching against this Rockies team. A few years ago, May 10th, 2013, he threw a 9-inning, 1-hit, 13 strikeout game, and the only hit was the leadoff batter of the game. We tried 27 in a row after that leadoff hit.
It had to be frustrating for Shelby Miller last season in Atlanta. No pitcher in all of baseball lost more games than Shelby did last year. But he still pitched well enough to be a National League All-Star. Trevor Story is at it again. And he is yet to hit a cheapie. His first 8 major league at bats, he's got 3 home runs.
Right fielder,
Change up. Just kept his hands back there. That long stride into the ball. Got underneath that one. And another tape measure blast for Trevor Story. At some point, he's going to have to be made uncomfortable in that batter's box. I mean, he's just diving in there. That long stride we showed you earlier in the comparison with Troy Tulowitzki, who also took that long stride into the ball. He has no fear. He's just looking for something out over the plate he can extend on and drive.
Well, the one he hit out there last night off Zach Greinke was measured by StatCast at 439 feet, and that one was just about in the same spot. Now you deal with Cargo and Arenado. Gonzalez grounded out his first time up. Shift is on. He hits it up the middle, a base hit.
third baseman, Nolan Arenado.
Arenado grounded out his first time up. He homered last night. A 3-run homer off Silvino Bracho. And there was some movement on that front by the Diamondbacks today. They made a roster move. Bracho was sent to AAA Reno. And Kyle Drabeck, who looked very good in the final week of spring training in a start against the Giants, joins the bullpen. Arenado hammers this one. Foul. Talked about his unique ability to usually keep those fair.
Yeah, normally he keeps that ball fair, leads with his hands through the zone. That was another no-doubter, fortunately on the wrong side of the pole.
Well, we talked about this last night, how Arenado is a guy who's up there hunting fastballs, and Shelby throws 3 different kinds of fastballs. 4-seam, 2-seam, and cutter. That one kicks away from Castillo. Gonzalez moves up. A wild pitch charged to Shelby Miller.
He spiked quite a few of them in the dirt in the early going here. I think that was the cut fastball, the little baby slider, if you will, that he throws on the outside part of the plate. Looked like it hit right at the edge of the outside corner there. Occasionally there'll be a lip around the plate. And if the ball hits just right, it'll change directions enough that you can't get a glove on it. You can't keep it in front.
So Gonzalez is the tying run. He's at second. Still nobody out. A 1-1 count on Arenado.
I caught in front of one of the great umpires, Lee Wire, back in the day. And Lee Wire, before the game would start, the pitcher would throw his warm-up pitches. I'd throw the ball down to second base, and he would come around and sweep off home plate like umpires always do. Then he'd flip his brush around and take the handle and dig a moat around home plate so he could really see where the corners of the plate were.
Wow. Jake Lamb on the short hop. That's the first out in the fourth. I'm going to say you have a sinker ball guy up there like Big Daddy. They might hit that little moat.
Yeah, and it was enough to change the direction of a ball that hit right on the edge of the plate on either side.
Brian Anora back there tonight. Gerardo Parra grounded out his first time up. Shelby trying to strand that tying run at second. Shelby's getting thrown right into the deep end of the pool, so to speak, here at Chase Field. He gets to face this dangerous Rockies lineup tonight in his D-backs debut, and his next scheduled start is the finale of this homestand. That's Sunday afternoon. He gets to face the Cubs and Jake Arrieta, last year's Cy Young winner. There's Mike Butcher, the new pitching coach. Every time I see Gerardo Parra, I'm always amazed at that double hip swivel move that he's got. Every time he swings, it's the only guy I really know of that does that when he swings at a pitch. The hips swivel and return, and then he swings. Right there, he kind of did it.
Just a little hitch in the midsection there. Well, it's not unusual for guys to shift the weight onto the back foot, but after he shifts the weight to the back foot, he then turns his hips a little bit.
Like Chubby Checker.
Yeah. Come on, baby. Let's do the twist.
2-2. You would think it would really slow things down for him, but he manages to get the bat to the ball on time.
The more moving parts, the better chance you have of things going south. And there were times we saw Gerardo where he was a little slow with that hip swivel or a little too quick. The more moving parts you have in your setup and your stride and your swing, the better chance that something's going to go wrong at some time.
Hard to keep all that synchronized over 162 games. 2-2. Reaches out and taps it by Miller. Segura charges. The scoop is not in time, says Alan Porter. Cargo in at third. That was the slowest of slow rollers.
That's really all Gene Segura could do on that ball. Doesn't have time to glove, get to the bare hand, and toss it over to Goldie, so he just tries to shovel it from glove to glove. Makes it a close play, but it did look like Parra might have beat that one. The Diamondbacks are going to stall for a little bit of time out there in the middle of the diamond, while Alvin Campbell gets a chance to take a look.
That's the fifth hit for the Rockies, 3 in this inning. And now they have runners in the corners with 1 out. Here comes Mike Butcher.
I don't know. That was close.
I don't envy Alan Campbell.
Yeah, I mean, you got to make a split-second decision based on what you see, and we've seen it in slow motion a couple of times, and it still looks very close.
So Brian O'Nora goes out to break up the summit meeting. And the batter will be the catcher, Nick Hundley, who singled his first time up. Hit one that sort of went right through Jake Lamb down at third his first time. Cargo, the runner at third, and Gerardo Parra at first. Gives it a ride toward the bullpen and gone. Nick Hundley, a 3-run homer. Well, Shelby Miller did an excellent job of keeping the ball in the ballpark last year. He was top 5 in the majors in fewest home runs allowed per 9 innings. Same rate as Zach Greinke. But Greinke had a rough night with a long ball last night. And the Rockies have now homered twice off Shelby.
Yeah, this 4th inning for the Rockies looks vaguely similar to the 3rd inning that Zach Greinke suffered through last night.
Let's go.
Rockies just hitting everything on the barrel here this inning. Even the long foul ball off the bat of Nolan Arenado was struck well.
So Hundley 2 for 2. 4-2 Colorado. And it's Ben Paulson.
Oh my God. Drop it down. Be on. You see that shit? I like it.
Sometimes you pick up a bad word in the dugout. We apologize. Talking about that hit turn. Tomas near the line on the run. He won't get there. It drops in. Left-hand hitter up there. Yasmani had to run a long way, and he couldn't quite get there.
Now shading just a little bit toward that gap in left center. Just the tip of the fingers of the glove made contact with the baseball. Then he's got to hit the brakes before he hits that sidewall. Stumbles to the warning track, but Paulson easily in at second base.
5th hit for the Rockies in this inning. 7th of the ball game. That's the first hit this year for Ben Paulson. E.J. LeMahieu had a single his first time up. Trevor Story got it started. He lit off this 4th inning with a home run. After hitting 2 last night, Gonzalez singled. Arenado grounded out. Parra singled. Hundley a 3-run homer. Now a Paulson double. 4-2 Rockies.
Colorado Rockies in this series so far 6 for 12 with runners in scoring position.
That'll get it done. And again, they did the same thing last year. They got off to a great start. They swept their opening series against the Brewers at Milwaukee. Then went to San Francisco and swept the Giants. LeMahieu. Gone. Another Rockies home run. 3 home runs in this Colorado 4th. And it's 6-2.
There's some guys in this Rockies lineup you expect to hit home runs, especially when you make mistakes, but LeMahieu is not one of them. He just doesn't hit for a lot of power, sprays the ball all over the field, but got every bit of that one.
The pitcher, Chad Bettis. Jake Barrett, who had to get up early last night, got in the ball game for his major league debut, and is up and throwing again in the Diamondback bullpen. Mentioned that the Diamondbacks made a roster move trying to protect that bullpen. Silvino Bracho, who struggled badly last night, went to AAA Reno, and Kyle Drabek was brought up here. And Chip Hale told us today that bullpen protection was the design as Segura smothers that one. Randall Delgado threw almost 50 pitches last night. Bracho threw 40, meaning both of those guys would have been down tonight and maybe tomorrow as well. And so needing length in that pen to protect all these short relievers, Bracho goes down and Drabek comes up.
It's always a danger in the early part of the season. You're not quite sure how deep into the ball game your starter can go. You have a night where you have to use a lot of bullpen. A couple guys extended probably beyond what Chip wanted to do. But because you have options on some of these younger players and you've got other guys available at the minor league level, you flip one out, bring one up. It wasn't so much a punishment or a disappointment in Bracho. It was just a matter of, can he pitch again today? Absolutely not. Maybe not even tomorrow. So you had to get a healthy arm up here.
On the phone with Garvin Alston, the bullpen coach. Blackman 0 for 2. And Chip told us today this only really further illustrates Josh Colementer's importance to the ball club, and they need to get Josh's shoulder healthy, get him back. They won't rush him. They want to make sure he's 100% good to go. And so that long guy that they've always counted on is not back there. They're thinking it might be Drabek, who had a good spring. Shelby Miller, who threw 205 innings last year and only gave up 13 home runs all season, and has given up 3 homers in this inning.
Boy, the second time in his career he's allowed 3 home runs in a game.
Blackman, the 9th man to bat in the Colorado 4th. There's a reason this team led the National League in runs scored last year, the Colorado Rockies. Still finished 26 games under 500, but they're going to have nights like this. Blackman chases that one, and the inning ends. But it's a 6-run Rockies 4th. They hit 3 home runs and lead it 6-2.
Kate Longworth, the Diamondbacks trying to get back on top as they trail the Rockies 6-2 heading into the bottom of the fourth. Well, one of the guys swinging for the fences last night was Jake Lamb. After limited exposure to lefties last year, Lamb said it felt pretty special to see his name in the starting lineup on opening day against lefty De La Rosa. Now, he admitted to having butterflies in that first at-bat, but after that, he said his confidence kicked in knowing that Chip Hale trusted him in a lefty-on-lefty situation. And overall, Skip very pleased with what he's seen in Jake Lamb, citing his patience he's demonstrated all spring at the plate.
Yeah, had a bunch of walks in spring training. The on-base percentage was tremendous for Jake.
You know, it was really a work in progress throughout the Cactus League. You may recall that one game he struck out, I believe, 4 times in a row, and it looked like that's the bottom of the barrel right there, trying to adjust to that new swing. And he just caught fire after that game.
Ball's in there, right to him, 1 away. Yeah, you're right. He just got better and better as the Cactus League season went along. Yasmani Tomas rounded out in his first at bat against Chad Bettis, the right-hander, who's now got a 6-2 lead. It's one on the inner half and turns on it. It carries over Parra's head. And Yasmani Tomas is in standing up. His second double this year.
Eduardo Parra obviously playing left field because Carlos Gonzalez is not going anywhere out there in right. And the angles are a little bit different. That ball really accelerated on him. Took a very shallow line. Wasn't able to make the adjustment. And Tomas is on second base with a double.
Shelby Miller batting 8th tonight, steps in. Yasmani a double and a big 2-out single last night. He's 1 for 2 with a double here tonight. In scoring position for Miller. Hundley wants to talk it over. We'll see with a runner in scoring position if they want to just stick with a fastball against the pitcher here or try that big, slow, loopy curveball he's got. One and one. Spot in the fastball, 1-2.
You could see the curveball here now, ahead in the count. 2 strikes with the pitcher at the plate. He might buckle his knees if he throws him a curveball.
Sometimes he'll throw it for a strike when he wants to. Other times he'll bounce it when he wants to. Give him the heater.
No messing around that time.
Third strikeout for Bettis.
Quick meeting to the mound by Nick Hundley and just went out there and told him just throw fastballs down the middle of the plate. Shelby Miller not real interested in swinging at any of them.
So the D-backs need a 2-out hit from Nick Ahmed, who struck out his first time up. Nick had a pair of hits last night. No first pitch fastball for Ahmed.
Trying to get some of the dirt out of his cleats there. You may notice on the bat all those little chips where the finish is knocked off of that black bat. That's from banging it on his cleats to try to get the dirt out.
Well, they got these nice new white shoes to go with these uniforms. I'll keep them clean. Already starting to visualize. He has homered and walked tonight. Both D-backs runs coming on solo homers. Goldie in the first and Segura in the third. 0-2 on Nick Ahmed. Bettis is a guy who is not afraid to come inside.
Yeah, we've seen him come inside with a two-seamer that runs farther inside to the right-hander. We've also seen him try to throw that cutter on the inside corner. Starts it right at that front knee. Tries to get that right-handed hitter to lock his legs, and then the ball cuts back toward the inside corner.
Bettis is out of Lubbock, Texas. He pitched at Texas Tech. Second round pick by the Rockies in the draft 6 years ago. He's got a birthday coming up, turns 27 later this month. Three and two. Segura, who homered his last time up, would be next. That one's hit foul, and David Van Ness is on it. David's down there, our Golden Glover. There he is, working the left field line. And the great Mark Hicks, poised and ready in right field. And someday that young man might be a Golden Glover. Right now he's got a souvenir. That's how it starts.
That's it. He's hooked.
And Williams coaching at third. Another 3-2 to Ahmed. Ball four. Second walk issued by Bettis. So it's 2 on and 2 out for Segura, who did this in the third. It's our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. A couple of hits last night for Segura. This is first D-back home run. He's driving the bus. Well, maybe he could deliver some Jimmy John's on the way.
Not? Although those Jimmy John's delivery guys, that bus would be too slow for them.
Yeah, they move. Usually get it to you before you hang up the phone. Segura up there with Tomas at second and Ahmed at first. Ball one. Hit him. And the bases are loaded. Well, we said he's not afraid to pitch inside. That one got away from him.
Started inside and ran farther inside. Caught him right on the back of that left elbow.
Steve Foster, the pitching coach. Well, if you want to get right back in the ball game, this is the way to do it. Down 4, bases loaded for Socrates Brito. A big spot for the rookie starting in center field tonight. He singled his last time up. He's 1 for 2.
One of the things that was so impressive about Socrates Brito last year at the end of the season was his poise. Remember, we marveled at this is a guy that looked like he'd already played 5 years in the big leagues. Nothing seemed to bother him. Nothing seemed to ruffle his feathers. Big situation here for the youngster.
Bases loaded, 2 outs. Chip Hale told us earlier today he thought long and hard about going tonight with the same lineup he had last night. Chris Owings in center. But Chip said Socrates has not had the chance to face too many right-hand pitchers lately. He punched out against lefty Boone Logan last night and is only AB. So Brito is in center. That's a strike on 1.
Man, is it too early in the year to start talking about automated strike zones,
Not
robot umpires?
Easy, big fella.
Man, I watched the game the other day, and every pitch was called wrong. Every pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unfortunate. Should be 2-0 right now.
Behind shortstop, Arenado drifting out from third. And the Diamondbacks will leave him loaded. We are through 4. They trail the Rockies 6-2.
Top half of the 5th inning. Pitching coaches will tell you that more than pitch selection, it's pitch location that will hurt a starting pitcher, and that was the case with Shelby Miller. Right down the middle of the plate with the changeup there at 83 miles an hour. That was actually off the plate inside to Nick Hundley. And DJ LeMahieu, another pitch on the inside corner of the plate. The last 2 guys not really dead pull hitters, but when they get pitches that far inside, off the plate inside in one instance, those are the kind that end up in the seats.
3 Rockies home runs in the 4th inning have made it a 6-2 Colorado ball game here. And Story, who led off the 4th with a homer, is in there to lead off the 5th, and he continues to make history. Now just the 2nd player in modern baseball history, which is since 1900, with 3 home runs in his first 2 career games. There's a strike on 1. How about this? Trevor Story is the first player since Charlie Riley of the Columbus Solons in 1889 to follow a 2-homer debut with a home run in his 2nd game. That's courtesy of our friends at Elias. Oh, Segura just tall enough. I have no idea what a Solon is. S-O-L-O-N-S.
I know there's a city in Ohio called Solon, S-O-L-O-N.
That must be it.
Yeah, that must be it. I'm not sure what it is either.
You're an Ohio guy.
Yeah,
I should know this.
Well, it's the wrong part of the state.
Carlos Gonzalez singled and scored his last time up. He's 1 for 2.
Kind of marveling at the color combination for Carlos Gonzalez tonight. A little pink on the batting gloves. Looks like he has a little pink on his shoes. Might be to honor something or other.
He's got that pink and purple combo going.
It looks like an Easter egg hunt.
Parz, I think, got the neon green and the purple. Cargo likes the pink and purple.
When I was a young player in the big leagues, part of the rookie initiation was always when you went to Atlanta, there was a shoe store there called Friedman's. And down in the basement of the shoe store, they kept all the ugly, outdated Frenchy Fuqua shoes with the goldfish in the heel, and you know, the disco shoes. And the rookies would have to go down there and pick out a pair of ugly shoes to wear for the rest of the road trip. I think I might have worn those shoes at one time.
It's the second time in a row that's happened there. Miller and Castillo just kind of clanked one. Frenchy Fuqua, the great Steelers running back.
Fur coats, platform shoes.
Google him if you want to laugh. He had some tremendous outfits. Three-0 pitch. First walk issued tonight by Shelby Miller, and the Rockies have a one-out base runner for Nolan Arenado. Cargo aboard for the second time. Arenado 0 for 2. Shelby now at 75 pitches, 45 for strikes. He's having trouble keeping it down.
It might be time to get Jake Barrett going again in that bullpen after that rough fourth inning. First out of the inning here to Story was a line drive to second base, and then he walks Carlos Gonzalez, and he is spraying it around pretty good right now. Just doesn't look like he can find a consistent release point.
He had a few bullpen sessions like this before the Cactus League schedule started, and he would be out there with Mike Butcher, throwing from the top of the mound, throwing from behind the mound, halfway up the mound, in the back of it. Mike was trying all kinds of different things. Arenado with a high fly ball to left center. Arenado 0 for 3, 2 down. And it looked like Shelby was fighting himself a little bit, and it looked like that in his first few Cactus League starts before he settled in near the end of spring training. But trying to put a rough fourth inning behind him. Parra singled and scored his last time up. He's 1 for 2. Well, you know, when you face Shelby Miller, he's going to be around the plate. He doesn't walk a whole lot of guys. His motto, in fact, is 3 pitches or less, and that's helped him go deeper into ball games. He's learned to go to that sinker more, use the cutter, especially against left-handers, and try and get guys out as fast as possible, be as efficient as possible. Attacking righties with that sinker. He'll try to tie up lefties with that cutter. And mix in some other stuff from time to time, a split finger, that curveball. And he's ahead of Parra 0-2. They change the count now to 1-1. Center field for Brito. Socrates runs it down, and we'll head to the home half of the fifth. What's next? Brought to you by CenturyLink. Goldie will lead it off. He has homered and walked. Diamondbacks trail the Rockies 6-2.
as we head to the bottom half of the 5th inning, trailing by 4. Anytime the D-backs score 5 or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Goldie leads off the Diamondback 5th. Good crowd here at Chase Field, second of a 3-game series against the Rockies. He has homered and walked. Mentioned at the top of the broadcast that Chad Bettis last year able to go at least 6 innings in 12 of his 20 starts. And as he opens up the 5th here, he's given up just 2 runs on 5 hits. He has walked 2 and struck out 3. And right now is at just about 70 pitches. One and 2 on Goldie. Got him. 66 miles an hour on a 2-2 pitch.
Really pulled the string on that curveball. Not only the movement on the pitch, but the dramatic amount of velocity that he took off that pitch. Goldie way out in front that time.
That's that big, slow, loopy curveball. He'll throw it about 15% of the time. Sometimes in there for a strike. Other times he'll bounce it, try and get somebody to chase. Peralta single back in the 1st. He's 1 for 2.
That's one of those risk-reward pitches.
I was going to think, you know, throw that pitch to Goldie. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the one he threw to Gene Segura that he banged out of the ballpark back in the 3rd inning, a hanger that stayed up around the belt. But when he really pulls down on that curveball and gets that downward movement that he's looking for and can command it down in the zone, it's a very effective pitch. It is again.
Well, this is the 3rd to Segura. Oh, this is the strikeout to Ahmed.
Good one down in the zone. Got the swing and a miss. That one up in the zone. Not quite as good.
And that was the next hitter, Segura. And Peralta hits it foul. And we'll check on Gerardo Parra.
Ball.
3rd base umpire Jeff Kellogg immediately signaled foul. You can see him right there.
His glove, it certainly appeared from the angle we had, his glove was in fair territory when he made contact with the baseball. It subsequently went into foul territory, but he touched it in fair territory.
Parra still shaking up a bit out there. One and 2. Bettis has it from the top of the mound. Throws out Peralta.
Interesting play there for Bettis. You could clearly see him back off the mound before throwing to first base.
Backing up downhill.
Yeah, and you know, he didn't want to take a risk of throwing off balance, standing askew on the mound, so he catches that ball, backs a couple of steps onto the flat surface, and then throws on to first for the out. He knew he had plenty of time.
He has been moved back and forth between the bullpen and the rotation throughout his big league career. 3 seasons ago, he split his time between starter and reliever. 2 years ago, all of his appearances came out of the bullpen. Then last year, all of his appearances were starts. It's been a schizophrenic existence. Wellington Castillo. He's getting a little cocky with that curveball now.
Yeah, throw another one up there.
Tries to spot the fastball, but misses. 2 balls and no strikes. Well, he's still looking for his first hit this season. Missed with a fastball down low, and it's 3-0. Castillo gets it up in the air. Center field for Blackman. And Chad Bettis works a 1-2-3 fifth. D-backs trail at 6-2. Field D-backs trail the Rockies 6-2. Hey D-backs fans, we are excited to introduce to you 1893 from the makers of Pepsi Cola. It's a premium cola inspired by the original Pepsi recipes, and it features premium cola extract and fair trade sugar. Pick up one at your local retailer today. It's 1893 from the makers of Pepsi. Well, the Rockies lead the D-backs 6-2, a 6-run Colorado fourth. All 6 runs coming via the home run. Trevor Story hit another one, a solo shot to lead off the inning. Nick Hundley, a 3-run homer. DJ LeMahieu, a 2-run shot. 3 home runs in that fourth have made it 6-2 Rockies. And Shelby Miller is back out there. He'll work to Nick Hundley, Ben Paulson, and DJ LeMahieu, 6, 7, and 8 in the Colorado 6th. Shelby did a good job in the 5th of putting that 4th behind him. He worked around a 1-out walk. And here's Hundley, who has singled and homered. He's knocked in 3. There's a strike 0-1. Chip Hale today apologized for what he called his harsh comments about media hype regarding his ball club going into the year, and it seems relevant again, down 6-2 here. And he said his family and his friends, especially his son, really got on him. This is high in the air, left center field. Rito's over there. He said his son got on him last night. Again this morning, he got a lot of feedback, he said, about his comments, and talking to the media after the ball game last night, saying you guys did a really good job of building everything up, and obviously last night didn't go as scripted. But he owned it today, to Chip's credit. He apologized, said look, it was just disappointment, and his real concern, he said, was protecting his players from what he called the sky is falling attitude that might have creeped in there last night. And that goes along with a loss like the Diamondbacks had last night. I mean, the anticipation, the excitement, the buildup, and then it just didn't quite go the way everybody planned.
Well, I can certainly understand what Chip's going through down there. I mean, a manager is required to talk to the media pregame and postgame every day, and you know, occasionally you get tired of answering the same questions. And you know, Chip has the same attitude I think every manager at the big leagues does. Opening day's great, but it's for the fans. It's for the people that have been locked up indoors all winter. Finally get a chance to get out in the fresh air and watch a ball game. And you know, it's a big deal for the fans, but for the players, it's about the grind. It's about 6 months of playing every day, and to put so much emphasis on one game, it can seem a little counterproductive.
Olsen shoots it the other way. Asmani does a nice job to run that one down in the gap.
Been busy out there tonight going both directions. We saw him go way over into foul territory on Paulson last time. This time into the gap, onto the warning track, and makes a nice running catch.
He covers more ground out there than you think he will. There was more news today about Zach Greinke. Ken Rosenthal from Fox Sports, our friend, tweeted out this morning that Zach Greinke last night pitched with the flu. And Chip Hale told us today that Zach has had over the last week or so some upper respiratory issues, but was checked out and was just fine. And Chip said if anything was bothering Greinke last night, it was the location of his pitches more than any illness. But he insisted again today, said, look, if Zach was sick or dehydrated, there is no way they would have sent him out there and risked an injury. They have a fairly sizable investment in Zach Greinke.
Yeah.
So if there was a chance he might pull something dehydrated from the flu, they would have scratched him like the A's did last night with Sonny Gray. They scratched their opening day guy. But Chip said there was nothing to that, that he was fighting a little something last week, but he was just fine last night. Well, the Mayhew had 2 hits last night, 2 more tonight, including a 2-run homer. Off to a good start. Hitting in the 8-hole for Walt Weiss. They wanted that 2 spot in the batting order to give to Story, like you talked about earlier, the rookie, to make sure he got something to hit. So LeMahieu just, somebody had to step up and bat 8th, and it's this guy, and he's done very well.
LeMahieu would seemingly be the perfect number 2 hitter. He handles the bat so well. We talked about him earlier, a good contact hitter, tremendous hit and run guy. And one thing that perhaps he has working against him for hitting at the top of the order is he's not very fast. He's a good base runner, but he doesn't get around the bases very quickly.
Yeah, Walt Weiss said he's not your prototypical 8-hole hitter, but at the same time, somebody's got to do it. Shelby Miller rings him up. That's 5 in a row retired by Shelby. Bottom 6 coming up. D-backs trail at 6-2.
the Diamondbacks. Fans, we invite you to play Kachinko by signing up at one of the 16 interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Diamondbacks regular season home game.
Set for the bottom of the 6th here. Chase Field, roof and panels open. Another beautiful night in downtown Phoenix in April in Arizona. D-backs are up to his usual hijinks. He was in Times Square the other day for a mascot thing. He and his mascot buddies got together. Jake Lamb hammers that toward the right field corner. That's a fair ball, and Jake Lamb is at it again. Jake had a 2-run homer last night, a double here to lead off the 6th.
Risk reward, hangs another breaking ball on the inside part of the plate. Jake stings it down into that corner once again. Didn't quite get the elevation he got last night when he was able to sneak it over that fence, but nice leadoff double here in the bottom of the 6th.
So here comes Yasmani Tomas. Pitcher's spot is after that for the Diamondbacks, and the bullpen is busy. And it looks like Kyle Drabek is up and throwing for the Diamondbacks. Son of the former Cy Young winner, Doug Drabek. Brought up here, said Chip Hale today, to give the D-backs some length back there. And so it looks like Chip is getting ready to hit for the pitcher Miller. Phil Gosselin in the on-deck circle. Tomas doubled his last time up. He's 1 for 2. Yasmani had one of the biggest hits of the ball game last night, that 2-run 2-out single in the 5th. Lifts this one along the right field line, headed toward the seats, and it's out of play.
Interesting point there for young players watching at home tonight. Jake Lamb, when he realized that ball was going to drift into foul territory, immediately went back and tagged up at second base. Anytime there's a ball hit in the air in foul territory and you know it's going to be a foul ball, go back and tag up. Rockies might make a catch and collide with each other or fall down. You might have an opportunity to advance 90 feet.
Two and one. Yasmani last year top 10 among National League rookies in hits, multi-hit games, batting average, and RBI. Conley wants a word with Bettis out there. Rockies bullpen will get busy as well. 87 pitches, 50 strikes. Christian Bergman, the right-hander, warming up for Colorado. Three and one. Diamondbacks just saw Bergman in a start in the Cactus League last week. That's one of the odd things about the way the spring training schedule ended. These two teams saw each other 3 times in the final week before this series. Ball 4. That's the 3rd walk issued by Chad Bettis, and the first 2 have reached in the Arizona 6th. Phil Gosselin will hit for Shelby Miller. Steve Foster, the pitching coach. And start the clock. There it is. And as soon as he gets out on the field, they start ticking down from 30 seconds.
You know, a lot of times pitching coaches used to use that walk to the mound to think about what they were going to tell the pitcher once they got there. Now, if you got to jog out there or sprint out there, you better know what you want to say before you get to the mound.
And here comes Brian O'Nora to make sure that they're done by the time the clock expires. And there you go. Saw Mike Butcher stretch one of those out. He took an extra 5 or 10 seconds last night from Jeff Kellogg. Jeff just sort of stood there and glared at him, and then they wrapped it up. And there's Jeff Kellogg working third base tonight. Phil Gosselin now. 2 on, nobody out, down 6-2. Struck out in his only at bat last night. It was a big one, a bases loaded strikeout. to end the 5th.
Well, we were both a little shocked by that. Goslin, one of his strengths is the ability to get the bat on the ball. Doesn't always hit it hard, doesn't always get a hit, but he usually puts the ball in play.
Had a very good spring, hit over 360, drove in 14 runs. Sends this toward the right field corner. Cargo will give it a look, but it's out of play. So he's down 0-2. Lamb at second after a leadoff double. Tomas at first after a base on balls.
Oh,
This is going to be playable for Paulson in foul ground. One down. Nick Ahmed has struck out and walked. He's 0 for 1. Nick had a couple of hits last night. Chip Hale says Nick Ahmed was at his best offensively last year when he was staying to that right center field gap, and Blackman in center is a couple of steps over toward the pool, but there's room out there in right center for Nick. One and one.
And what we saw from Nick this spring, and so far a game and 6 innings into this ball game, he's more willing and more able to pull the ball this year. We've seen him jerk some balls down into that left field corner, line drives over the third baseman's head for extra bases. I think teams as the season progresses here may have to come back and play Nick more straight up all the way around the outfield.
Well, he's getting that front foot down a lot earlier than he used to. I think that helps him turn on some of those balls. See that quick front step, that front foot gets up and down a lot faster than it did before. That's something they've really worked on with Nick, trying to shorten up that swing.
A little bit of a leg kick there as he cocks that left leg, but you're right, he gets that foot down on the ground a little bit quicker this year than he did last year. There were times last year his body was drifting forward as the pitch was being delivered.
There's Dave Magadan, the new hitting coach. 1 and 2.
That was one of the late great Tony Gwynn's keys to his success as a hitter. Get that front foot down quickly. Get your balance, get your base underneath you, and then use your hands to drive the ball.
Just inside, it count is full, 3 and 2. Segura on deck. Boy, Nick has seen a lot of pitches tonight. Walked his last time up. Now he's 3 and 2 here in the 6th. Base hit. Matt Williams will wade Jake Lamb. Here's the throw. It is not in time. 6-3 RBI single for Ahmed. Lamb had to hold up momentarily to make sure that got through. It was close at the plate, but he's in there. It's our Chaz Roberts cool play of the game.
Aggressive send that time by Matt Williams, the third base coach, because Carlos Gonzalez was moving to his right. Obviously throws with his left hand. You see he had to move to his right, then had to gather himself before making that throw home. That's all the time Jake Lamb needed to get on that plate.
Walt Weiss will huddle up with Brian O'Nora now. Once again, he's going to take, it looks like DJ LeMahieu out of the ball game and put in Christian Adames at second base. He did this last night, so we'll sort it all out. Diamondbacks down 3 now and threatening more. Back after this.
Six, 1 in, 2 on, 1 out. Hey, got something new this season, the D-Backs Student Pass. The Student Pass is a program that sends ticket discounts and specials right to your mobile phone. All you have to do is text STUDENT to 76925. That's STUDENT to 76925, or log on to dbacks.com/student.
D-Backs trying to get back in this one, down 6-2. Now it's 6-3. 2 on, 1 out. New pitcher for the Rockies is the right-hander Christian Bergman. And he's like Chad Bettis, is a guy that kind of does both. He comes out of the bullpen. He starts sometimes. D-Backs just saw Bergman in a Cactus League start about a week ago. Last year, 30 appearances with the Rockies, only 4 starts. He has worked long relief, middle relief, and occasionally started. Christian Adames checks in at second, replacing DJ LeMahieu. Segura, who homered in the 3rd, steps in. Bettis responsible for 2 base runners. Tying run at the plate, 1 down in the 6th. Tomas is the runner at second. Ahmed at first. Boy, Segura gets something to hit here. He's going to jump on it. Checks his swing.
That's typical Christian Bergman right there. His fastball's in the high 80s, might touch 90 on occasion, but throws a lot of changeups, a lot of sliders.
Yeah, 4-seam fastball generally tops out at 90. It's got a little bit of sink to it. Reaches out and lifts that one toward the right field corner, but out of play. There's a cutter and a changeup here and a 12-6 curveball that doesn't do a whole lot, but he finds a way to succeed more often than not. A durable guy. He's a strike thrower, handles lefties pretty well, so you don't have to worry about matchups so much. And they're against the right-hander Segura here.
Watch your left.
Right over the head of Dave McKay at first. Somebody asked Bergman what you like most about being a starting pitcher, and he said, well, it's like a painting. You get to create your own masterpiece. When you come in as a reliever, he said, the building is burning down and you got to put out the fire. And so somebody rang the fire bell here. Segura, right center, Blackman on the run. He won't get there. Tomas had to hold up. Here he comes. Ahmed's right behind. And look at Segura get in there third. It's starting to heat up in here. 6-5 ball game. Tying run 90 feet away with 1 out. Segura, 2 hits last night, 2 more biggies here tonight.
Boy, stayed right on that ball, driving it to that gap. We could see from up here in the press box, it was tailing away from Charlie Blackmon from the moment it left the bat. All the way to the pool area out there. By the time Cargo gets to it, Nick Ahmed got a great read over at first base. He was on his horse and scored all the way from first. Segura in at third, only 1 out in the inning here for Socrates Brito.
And the infield creeps in. There's a strikeout and 1. Brito singled in the third. He's 1 for 3. The start tonight in center field for the rookie. Both runners had to hold up on that one just to make sure Blackmon wasn't going to get it. And Ahmed almost touched home plate at about the same time as Yasmani Tomas once they finally got going. 1-2 pitch. Got him. Here comes Goldie. Goldie homered in the first, walked in the third. He is 1 for 2. Struck out his last time up against Chad Bennis. Now steps in against Bergman. Tying run 90 feet away, 2 outs.
About the best fastball Bergman has right there. Tried to run it right in on the hands of Paul Goldschmidt.
Handcuffed.
The element of surprise I mentioned, his reputation precedes him. He likes to throw a lot of off-speed pitches. He has a real good straight changeup, a couple of different breaking balls. He just tries to spot his fastball in the corners, but that time just reared back and threw it as hard as he could.
0-2. Took something off.
There in the middle of the plate.
Yikes. One more of those will work. Goldie last year hit .340 with the runners in scoring position, a career high. Battling.
It's just the difference in the kind of swing you can take in a 2-strike count as opposed to if the count is in your favor. Goldie's waiting just a little bit longer, trying to make sure the pitch is in the zone before he lets it go. Good battle here. Bergman throwing more fastballs to Paul Goldschmidt than he has to anybody else in the Diamondbacks lineup so far.
All this on 0-2. Got him. So Bergman, in a sense, puts out the fire. He strikes out Brito and Goldie, but Segura's 2-run triple has made it a 6-5 ball game. And the D-backs trail the Rockies 6-5. D-backs fans, if you can't watch the games on TV, you can now stream games live on your mobile device. That's what he's doing right there, probably. Just go to your app store and download the free Fox Sports Go app. Log on and stream the D-backs wherever you go. Well, Nick Ahmed, an RBI single. Gene Segura, a 2-run triple. D-backs a 3-run 6 to pull within 1. And here he is, one of the new guys making his D-backs debut, the veteran right-hander Tyler Clippard.
Clippard, a guy that relies a lot on a straight change-up as well. You'll notice his delivery, real high front side, really leads with that left arm high in the air. Just a little bit of a disguise so the batter doesn't pick up the delivery as quickly as they might otherwise.
After the double switch, Christian Adames will lead off the Colorado 7th pitcher spot, now 8th in the Rockies order. We saw Adames last night. Checked in about midway through, went 0 for 3. Swartz one to shortstop for Ahmed.
Clippard's job, and every D-backs pitcher for that matter against the Rockies, your job is to keep the ball in the ballpark. You get a look at Tyler Clippard's numbers last season. Opponents hit only 186 against him. 14 of the 16 runs the Rockies have scored so far in the first 2 games of the season coming via the long ball. 3 3-run homers, 1 2-run homer, and 3 solos.
He is a notorious fly ball pitcher. It's worked out in the ballparks in which he's worked before, but he can lead to trouble in this one. Charlie Blackmon. He has an outstanding and well-established record as a veteran setup man, Tyler Clippard. Blackmon 0 for 3. A 2-year, $12.25 million free agent deal with the D-backs signed in February. Clippard split last season between the A's and the Mets and wound up pitching in the World Series after spending 7 years with the Washington Nationals, where he was one of the best setup men in baseball and a 2-time All-Star. This guy is very experienced and very durable. We had a lot of fun talking with Tyler during Fan Fest here at Chase Field. A very interesting guy.
Yes, he is. I think he's really glad to be here. I think he understands where the Diamondbacks are in their progression, and he wants to be a part of something good here in the desert.
Yeah, free agency for Clippard this winter had moments where he said it was frustrating and stressful, not really knowing what was going to happen. He was out there for a while. Top shelf where Mama hides the cookies.
Oh, what a great job of timing his leap there. You can see he was ready to jump. He stayed on the ground. He got ready to jump again. And then finally at the last instant springs up into the air to take a base hit away from Charlie Blackmon. Every bit of that glove.
Perfectly timed by Nick. Wow. Well, here's Trevor's story. Charlie Blackmon. What can you do? Story homered in the fourth. He's 1 for 3 after homering twice in his first big league game last night. It's now 7 straight retired by Diamondbacks pitchers. Rockies' last base runner was Cargo, a 1-out walk in the 5th. Tyler Clippard succeeds by getting guys off balance. Fastball changeup.
Yep. I mean, there's a couple of different ways you can attack hitters. You can go in and out, put them in a rocking chair where they're leaning out over the plate and then they're backing off the plate, or you can go harder and softer. Get them going forward and backward, trying to guess fastball, changeup.
We'll get a young man occasionally swinging out of his shoes against Tyler Clippard, like we just saw there from Trevor's story.
Yeah, Clippard has a 1-hit shutout to his credit against the Rockies. It took him 9 appearances to do it. 9 2/3 innings. That has given up only 1 base hit, no runs in his last 9 appearances.
He has been an absolute workhorse out of the bullpen in his big league career. Over his last 5 seasons in Washington, he never made fewer than 72 appearances a year. And during that time put up a 2.63 ERA. Went to 2 All-Star games. Over the last 6 seasons, no relief pitcher in baseball has thrown more innings than Tyler Clippard.
That pitch down and away. Wellington Castillo even got down on a knee to try to make sure they kept the pitch down and away from Story. And Clippard overthrows it right in the heart of the plate, top of the strike zone, fouled straight back. It's unusual for a pitcher to use any kind of an open webbing on their glove.
Sky high, shallow right center. Segura wants it. Tyler Clippard, a 1-2-3 7th. We stretch at Chase Field. Nick Ahmed way up there. It's a 1-run ball game. Bottom 7, D-backs within a run at 6-5. Hey fans, this week only T-Mobile customers can get a free season-long subscription to MLB.TV Premium. Just go to T-Mobile.com/MLB and sign up. You'll catch every moment of America's fastest growing LTE network right there. D-backs fans enjoying this one. 6-5 ball game as David Peralta leads off the bottom of the 7th. Peralta's singled in the first. He's 1 for 3. Base hit. And the freight train is on the tracks. Here we go. Leadoff double. Peralta 3 for 5 last night, 2 for 4 tonight.
Right on it. That ball was fading down low in the zone. Look at him just put his head down. He knows that ball's going to be down in the corner for at least 2. Wants to give himself an opportunity to possibly go 3 if Cargo mishandles is out there in right field.
So he's the tying run in scoring position. Nobody out to open up the 7th. And it's Wellington Castillo who's 0 for 3 and 0 for 7 on the year so far. Welly last season career highs in home runs, runs scored, and RBIs. That's a little looper, and it drops in. Matt Williams going to stop Peralta at third, and Welly's on the board in 2016. A little backbreaker that drops in for a single.
Died a hero. Wellington swinging a little bit big right now. Needs to just shorten everything up a little bit, but gets a good result here. Got jammed, broke his bat, floated it out there over the head of Adames. Putting D-backs on the corners for Jake Lamb,
who doubled and scored his last time up. Peralta at third and Castillo at first. Tying run at third. Go ahead run over at first. Rockies have the shortstop Story behind the second base bag on the first base side. He's right behind the second base umpire, John Tumpane. That's in there for a strike, 1-1. Bullpen will get busy again for Colorado. Daniel Hudson has started throwing for the Diamondbacks. 1-2. Dave Stewart put it plainly this spring when asked about Jake Lamb. Stu said the Diamondbacks are counting on him, and they are hoping to have more impact from Jake this year to extend that lineup. And if he swings the bat like he's capable, it really does extend this D-backs lineup and makes them better. And we've already seen that through 2 games. Jake with a home run last night, a double to lead off the 6th, and now up in a big spot here in the 7th. So Jake's mom was down here. Family's in town from the state of Washington. She was down here before the ball game. Two and 2.
Boy, he just looks locked in right now.
It's like last year. Remember, first 8-10 games or so, he was their best hitter, Jake Lamb.
We talked about getting the foot down early. He just looks like he's very balanced, seeing the ball quickly out of Bergman's hand.
Got that lower hand position with the bat a lot closer to his body, trying to keep that bat in the hitting zone a lot longer. More of a level swing rather than chopping down on the ball where your timing's got to be perfect. Full count, 3-2. Bases are loaded. Nobody out. First walk issued by Bergman, the fourth walk issued by Rockies pitchers tonight. And a chance for Tomas, who doubled in the fourth. He walked his last time up. Steve Foster will make another visit. They start the clock.
Is great right there for Jake Lamb. Keep the rally going, load the bases, but man, I was hoping he could do some serious damage if Bergman came in that strike zone on the 3-2 pitch, but he wasn't even close.
So here we go, bases full, nobody out. You've got David Peralta, the tying run at third, Wellington Castillo, the go-ahead run at second, and Jake Lamb at first. Tomas has doubled and walked, 1 for 2. Drives it out to Cargo. He runs it down. Here comes Peralta, and we are tied. Boy, Asmani gave that one a ride.
Just a little more elevation, get that ball over the head of Carlos Gonzalez in right field. Tomas hits a center cut fastball at 90 miles an hour. Tried to get it over the head of Carlos Gonzalez, who has to backpedal onto the warning track to make the catch. But in the meantime, David Peralta tags and scores a tying run.
And now with the pitcher's spot up, we'll get a look at Ricky Weeks Jr., who struck out in a pinch hit appearance to win the ball game last night. Ricky had a big spring and won a spot on the opening day roster. There's a strike on 1. He hit over .430 in spring training with 2 home runs, Ricky Weeks Jr. Parts of 12 seasons of the major leagues, 11 with the Brewers. Castillo, the go-ahead run at second, Jake Lamb at first. And the D-backs able to get Shelby Miller off the hook in his D-back debut. They trailed at 6-2. They have answered with 3 in the 6th and now 1 here in the 7th. And threatening more. Boy, did he turn on that one. That's in the rafters up there.
Hit in the hot dog stand. Hanging change up inside. He's so quick. Just got the barrel on it and hooked it way up there in the upper deck.
A ball and 2 strikes on Ricky Weeks Jr. Paulson knocks it down, and there's no play. The bases are loaded.
Even on ground balls, when Ricky Weeks gets the barrel on the ball, it jumps off that bat. Paulson tried to move to his right there, could only knock it down by the time Adames gets to it. He has no play.
That's a base hit for Ricky Weeks Jr. Nick Ahmed, an RBI single his last time up back in the 6th. And here comes Walt Weiss. They're going to have an organizational meeting out there. That's it for Bergman. Diamondbacks have tied it up, and they have the bases full. Back after this. A lot more interesting for D-backs fan. Tie ball game in the 7th. Don't forget, for each weekday home game this season, you can enjoy matinee discounts. The first day game tomorrow, fans. The series finale with the Rockies, first pitch 12:40. And Chase Field, a perfect place to spend your afternoon, especially when you get a bleacher ticket for only $15. Pick up a matinee ticket online, dbacks.com/matinee. Patrick Corbin on the mound in his 2016 debut. Tyler Chatwood will go for the Rockies. This is the lefty Jason Gurka, and we have been told that he was absolutely sensational all spring long. He went 1-0 with a 1.69 ERA. Nick Ahmed is up, bases loaded, 1 out. Gurka this spring worked 10 2/3 innings, had 1 walk and 20 strikeouts.
Wow. Fastball, curveball, changeup combination from the Rockies lefty.
Ahmed, an RBI single his last time up. Nick had a 2-hit night last night. He has walked and singled tonight. Visualization underway in the dugout. Nick Hundley, nice job keeping that one in front.
It's a Patrick Corbin-like breaking ball there to a right-hander. Starts it out there over the plate. Looks like it's going to be in the zone, and then just takes the break. Ends up nearly hitting Nick in the back foot.
Scores. 7-6 D-backs.
Nice grinding in bat there by Nick Ahmed. Fastball misses down low at 92. One right in the middle of the plate. He probably wishes he had that one back. That is a big breaking ball that nearly hit him in the back foot, but ultimately gets that fastball on the inside part of the plate. You could see Story cheating maybe a step or two toward the bag at second in anticipation of a possible double play, and Nick hit it right by him through the hole.
Segura jumps on the first pitch he sees, a fastball. Segura homered in the 3rd, and a 2-run triple his last time up after a 2-hit night last night. Diamondbacks have now out-hit the Rockies 12-8. They lead it 7-6. Oh, 2. This is where Segura's aggressiveness will occasionally bite him. But they like the mentality, especially Dave Magadan, the new hitting coach. They've said, look, you're the igniter. Go up there, get a good at bat, hit the ball hard somewhere, set the tone. They don't want him up there seeing a whole bunch of pitches and working the count. That's not what he really does. Just hit the ball where it's pitched. Do your thing. Dropped it in there. Segura didn't like the call from Brian O'Nora. A long, slow walk back to the dugout.
That's that big breaking ball that very nearly hit Nick Ahmed in the back foot, but this time Gurk is able to drop it on that inside part of the plate for a called strike 3.
And they will, with a lefty on the mound, recall Socrates Brito, and Chris Owings will take the at-bat. CO last night got the start in center field, 1 for 5 with a single and a run scored. So Owings hits for Brito. Bases loaded, 2 outs and 2 runs in. Chip Hale said today that Chris may get a start in the infield in tomorrow afternoon series finale. Well, Brito, who struck out against the lefty Boone Logan last night, will not get the at-bat against the lefty Gurka here. Instead, it's Owings who looks at strike 1, 1-1. CO a big spring, hit nearly 370, homered 3 times. Can't check. Daniel Hudson is done throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. Huddy is ready to go. He'll get the 8th. Getting our first look at this Clippard Hudson Ziegler back end of the Diamondback bullpen. That's the blueprint. 1-2 on Owings. CO. Oh, Story knocks it down. Lamb scores. And Ricky Weeks Jr. just does get back to the bag in time. It's 8-6 Diamondbacks. A run scores. We would have had 2 in there, but Story made a nice play to at least knock it down.
It's an infielder's job with runners in scoring position. If you can't field it cleanly, at least knock it down, keep it out of the outfield. Ricky Weeks straying a little too far around the bag there at third. Kind of did that swim move, put the right hand out, pull it back, and then grab the bag with the left hand. Able to get in safely underneath the tag.
Well, Walt Weiss on the top step of the dugout. We're going to have a challenge here, I think. We're going to challenge that play at third and try and get out of this inning. Diamondbacks still have the bases loaded. And they are apparently, we don't have official word yet, apparently challenging that safe call at third. Ricky Weeks Jr. down there.
Third base. Call the nickname of the manager challenge.
Jeff Kellogg, the third base umpire. Ricky was helping him out.
With a fingernail on the bag there. I don't think that was an intentional swim move. It looked like when he went to dive back head first, the right hand kind of stuck in the dirt down there. He had no choice but to reach for the bag with the left hand.
He was coming around third full speed there and had to put the brakes on when Story knocked that ball down. Everybody getting a look at the play on DVTV. Diamondbacks fans think the call was correct.
Yeah, that's one of those plays for Nolan Arenado, and rarely will I ever criticize anything he does defensively, but he went after Ricky Weeks with the tag. If he just puts his glove down in front of the base right there, Weeks has nowhere to go, but because he tried to reach out and tag Ricky Weeks, that gave him just enough room to get his hand on the bag before the tag was applied on the chest.
Well, this is an enormous call for Walt Weiss. If he can get that safe call overturned, it ends the inning. If not, then Goldie's up with the bases loaded. Gurka continuing to throw out there on the mound while New York takes a look. Sure looks like from the angle we have, he got that left hand back in there. Here's one more look. Different angle this time.
Ooh.
Safe at third. So a 3-run sixth and now a 3-run seventh have made it 8-6 Diamondbacks after they trailed 6-2. The bases are still loaded, 2 outs, and Paul Goldschmidt steps in. Goldie homered in the first, walked in the third. He has also struck out twice, his last 2 times up. Weeks is at third, Ahmed at second, Owings at first. There's a strike on 1. The 9th man to bat in the Diamondbacks 7th.
I remember Goldie's last at bat against Christian Bergman. I don't want to call him a junk baller, but a guy that relies a lot on off-speed pitches, and he threw him almost all fastballs. This time he sees 2 breaking balls to start the sequence.
Goldie, the toughest hitter in the National League against left-hand pitching last year. He hit .364 versus lefties to lead the league. And he's ahead 2 balls and 1 strike. That was a foul ball. It's a full count, 3-2. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Weeks at third. Ahmed at second. Owings at first. 3 runs already in.
Conley wants to talk this one over. This is a big pitch right here. Goldie's seen the big sweeping breaking ball. He's seen the fastball. Such a good 2-strike hitter. Runners are going to be in motion as the pitch is delivered.
Means Meantime, Daniel Hudson's been done warming up down there for quite a while. Huddy just waiting this thing out. He'll get the 8th. There's Mark Reed, the bullpen catcher.
See, if I was at the plate, I'd be guessing fastball right here. Bergman got him with a fastball last time. Ooh. Got one up and out over right there. Didn't miss by much.
One more time on 3-2. He's hit. This will clear the bases. Weeks scores. Here comes Ahmed. Owens right behind. And Goldie's headed for third.
Goldie scared Gurka off of his fastball. Took that swing and fouled that ball straight back on the fastball, up and out over the plate on the 3-2 pitch before. Gurka tries to come back with the breaking ball, and Goldie just mashes it into that gap in left center field. Great speed on the bases. Everybody's going to score on this one. Goldie ends up at third.
Well, the Diamondbacks got a 2-run triple from Gene Segura in the 6th after Segura homered. And now here in the 7th, it's a 3-run triple for Goldie after Goldie homered. 11-6. At one point, the Diamondbacks were down 6-2.
What a difference a day makes. Last night, the Diamondbacks were 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Tonight, 7 for 15.
Peralta led off this inning with a double. For all the talk about the Rockies offense in this series so far, and for good reason, the Diamondbacks last night 5 runs on 12 hits. Tonight 11 runs on 14 hits. And this has turned into a 6-run Arizona 7th after Colorado got 6 in the 4th. Daniel Hudson, things got a whole lot easier now for Huddy. And a Diamondback pitcher making his debut may get the win after all. It's not Shelby Miller, but Tyler Clippard. Look out, right back at Gurka. But the Diamondbacks put up a 6 spot, and it's highlighted by Goldie. Bases loaded, 2 outs, a 3-2 count, and he bangs a triple into left center. It's 11-6 Diamondbacks. has batted around in 1 inning. Last night it was the Rockies. Tonight it's the Diamondbacks, who now lead it 11-6. But for our Gig Live high-speed highlights presented by Cox, we're going defense. Last night, Nick Ahmed top shelf to grab that one. And Nick outdid himself tonight with this leaping grab earlier in the ballgame. Look at the hops.
Oh, just the timing of that play, the way he gathered and then gathered again, waiting for that ball to get to him, and then as high as he could possibly go to make the play.
And so here we are, now 8th inning, and the new pitcher for the Diamondbacks, the right-hander Daniel Hudson. Defensive changes behind him. Chris Owings takes over in center field after hitting for Brito. Huddy, a very successful full season, and has come back from 2 Tommy John surgeries. 64 appearances last year, a 4-3 record, 4 saves, and a 3.86 ERA, and radar gun readings that at times hit triple digits. There's CO back out there in center where he started the ball game last night. Shift is on for Cargo, who leads off the Rockies' 8th. He has singled and walked. .96 in their first strike, 1-1. Daniel Hudson really settled into a key role at the back end of this bullpen down the stretch last year. Got so many critical outs. And in his final 24 appearances last season, Huddy had a win, 3 saves, and a 2.82 ERA. And he will have to get a whole lot of big outs this year. They are counting on this guy, and for good reason. And as we mentioned during the spring training telecast, a little tweak to Daniel Hudson's delivery this spring. It's that front leg, and it seemed to have made a big difference. It came from the new pitching coach, Mike Butcher. That front leg gets up and down a lot quicker than it used to. 1-2 on Cargo.
He used to kind of hang a little bit at the top of that leg kick. It seems like a small thing, but we talked about moving parts for a hitter. The same thing goes for a pitcher. If everything is not working together and your body isn't getting you in a position to get your arm in a good slot, you're probably not going to be able to execute your pitches consistently. Getting that foot down a little quicker this year, balance is a little better, and his arm slot has been great all spring.
Reaches out and lifts that out to Peralta, who runs it down. Yeah, it came from Mike Butcher, who thought Huddy was a little too slow. A little too pronounced with that motion and lifting that leg up. The slow leg kick sort of caused him to float or coast on the mound out there. And he's got a quicker tempo now that helps out with the balance.
And that'll help with the opposing base running game as well.
Yeah.
Be a little quicker to home plate. He was susceptible to the stolen base last year.
Nolan Arenado. Daniel tended to get a little wobbly up top, and then he would sort of fall down the mound and finish. But now he says really loading up quickly forces him to use that mound more to his advantage. Now he's really, as they say, pitching downhill. A lot more power behind it. That one's in there at 97. Oh, misses for a ball. 1-0. So they took a guy who throws 100 and figured out a way to put a little more zip on the fastball.
I'm constantly amazed by major league pitchers nowadays that are able to throw in the mid to upper 90s with movement.
Yeah.
I mean, the ball gets from their hand to the catcher's glove so quickly. How does it have time to move as much of it as it does? But Daniel Hudson is able to get a lot of tailing, sinking action at times on that fastball. We saw Miguel Castro come into the game for the Rockies last night, throwing in the upper 90s with some tremendous sink on the ball.
You saw the shoes that Daniel Hudson is wearing. Shelby Miller had them on too. The debut tonight of the new teal alternate home uniform. And part of that, if you want, comes with the teal and white shoes. Jake Lamb at third. Got him, says Alan Porter. Jake had to wait on that one a bit, made it a close play at first.
Once again, we've talked about it several times already in the first couple games. Jake playing a deeper third base this year. Matt Williams thought it would help him charge those balls that are slowly hit, but be in a good position to handle something hit hard down that direction. He certainly has enough arm to play deep at third base.
Yeah, we just saw it there. Really good arm. Gerardo Parra now singled and scored to the fourth. He's 1 for 3. I'm kind of digging those shoes. Those are like Broadway Joe Namath. Little hint of teal along the side there. It's all got to be coordinated, BB.
Yeah, I guess so.
Comes together. You've got to accessorize. That's what the wife always tells me.
I don't know if I could play nowadays. I mean,
I can't see you wearing those.
I had bad feet, you know, and when I finally got a pair of cleats broken in and they felt comfortable on my feet, there's no way I could turn around and wear a different pair the next day.
Daniel Hudson, a 1, 2, 3, 8. Brand new shoes and all. Diamondbacks lead the Rockies 11-6.
Bottom of the 8th, Jody Jackson and Joe Borowski getting set for Diamondbacks Live, presented by CenturyLink, our post-game show. And Joe, early on this game looked like a little bit of deja vu from last night. Shelby Miller giving up a couple of home runs to the Rockies, but this time the D-backs offense has flipped the script.
Yeah, after falling behind early to the Rockies, Diamondbacks offense took advantage of some key at-bats in order to get back, prolong those innings, and really get this game going.
We will break it all down on the post-game show and, of course, have all the reaction from the players and manager Chip Hale.
Look forward to that, guys. Thank you very much. Joe and Jody. Wellington Castillo leads off the bottom of the 8th. Gurka's still out there. And here's a part, BB, that might get swept under the headlines here. What a job by both Tyler Clippard and now Daniel Hudson. And really going back to Shelby Miller, because Diamondbacks pitchers have retired the last 11 Rockies hitters. Colorado's not had a base runner since Cargo's one-out walk in the 5th inning. So 11 straight set down by Diamondbacks pitchers.
You know, we've talked about that with the Diamondbacks offense and their ability to come back in games. Those middle relievers, the guys that get you through the 5th, 6th, and 7th inning of the ball game, are going to get some victories this year.
Yeah. Tyler Clippard in line to get this one in his D-backs debut. After the Diamondbacks got Shelby Miller off the hook, Shelby had a rough 4th inning, gave up 6 runs, including 3 home runs. But the D-backs have answered. They have out-hit the Rockies 14-8. A 3-run 6th and a 6-run 7th.
In.
Here comes Gonzalez. It drops in there. Another broken bat bloop for Wellington Castillo. Gets him another hit. Hey fans, Thursday it's another full day of sports with 3 teams on 3 channels. Starting on Fox Sports Arizona at 6, it's the D-backs and the Cubs. And then basketball, you've got the Suns and the Rockets. That's a 4:30 start on Fox Sports Arizona Plus. And for hockey, with the regular season winding down, the Coyotes and the Predators, 4:30 on the special Fox Sports Arizona Coyotes channel. And if you're not sure where to find all these channels, just go to foxsportsarizona.com and you'll get the complete listing for the Plus and the Coyotes channels. You got to get 3 TVs. You got a lot going on here. Jake Lamb. Jake doubled and scored in the 6th, walked and scored in the 7th. He is 1 for 3. Coyotes fans, I thought, did a really good job this year. I was out there on Diamondback night about a week ago Saturday for a game against the Flyers. Shift is on. They got Castillo hung up, and that's all they'll get. Story gets the 1 out. But I was down there with Patrick Corbin and some of the other Diamondbacks, and it was a good crowd. People were into it. I mean, Coyotes not going to make the playoffs this year. Season's almost over, but boy, they had a good turnout. People were supporting their hockey team, which is great to see.
It's a lot of fun, I'll tell you. Some people complain about the pace of baseball. I'm not one of them, but boy, if you want a game that's fast paced, go watch the Coyotes.
That is always such a great game to go see in person hockey. Yasmani Tomas drove in a run with a sac fly his last time up. He has also walked and doubled, so Yasmani off to a very good start this year after a 2-hit night last night. And a nice running grab on a ball hit into the gap in left center earlier in the ball game as well. Tracked it down just shy of the wall out there.
It's early, but Yasmani looks like he's recognizing pitches a little bit better. There were times last year, and I mentioned it at the time, it looked like he made up his mind as he left the on-deck circle what pitches he was going to swing at in at bat. I'm going to swing at the first one, the third one, and the fourth one, regardless of where they were.
And chops at that one. Slams the bat down in frustration as Adames has it.
Frustrated after that at bat, but as I mentioned, he looks like he's recognizing pitches a little bit better, swinging at more strikes, not swinging as many pitches out of the zone.
Pitcher spot is up for the D-backs, and we'll get a look at Brandon Drury, who grounded out in his only at bat last night, swung at the first pitch in a pinch hit appearance. And Brandon, what a spring he had. Hit .389 with 4 homers, 10 doubles, and 13 RBIs. So Drury hits for the pitcher in the 8th.
Boy, what a difference between the Cactus League schedule and the regular season. Chip Hale, you know, during the Cactus League, you want to get everybody into a game, and you've got plenty of bodies to do it with. Brandon Drury is the last non-catcher available off the bench for Chip now. I mean, the game changes completely. In spring training, it's all about getting guys their at bats, getting guys their innings pitched, maybe putting a guy at a different position to see how he handles it. Once the regular season starts, it's about winning ball games and how to best utilize that roster.
Well, now with an 11-6 lead, they'll utilize a chance to ease Brad Ziegler's workload. Jake Barrett is up and throwing in the Diamondback bullpen as Drury hits for the pitcher. So it looks like Jake, who made his major league debut last night, will work the 9th. And he's got closer stuff. He's been impressive all spring long. Big power right-hander out of ASU. 1-2 on Brandon Drury. Wouldn't be surprised to see Brandon get a start tomorrow at some place in the field. You can put him anywhere, really. Second, third, left, right, maybe even center. And Chip has said that's going to be one problem with having Brandon on the opening day roster. He's got to find him some at bats. And that's going to take the manager getting a little creative out there. Urca drops that one in there again for a strike, and he rings up Drury. So we'll go to the 9th inning. It's 11-6 D-backs.
Where the Diamondbacks have taken a commanding lead over the Rockies, staging what they hope will be their first win in the books for the 2016 season. The score right now, 11-6, as we head into the 9th inning. And it was a dream come true last night for Jake Barrett as he took the mound for his home team, making his major league debut. The Desert Ridge High School grad and ASU alum said he was overcome with emotion and that it's really still sinking in that this dream, he is truly living it. Now, he did take home last night's lineup card and the ball from the first out he recorded, and he had his own cheering section on hand with about 20 friends and family members in attendance. And he told me he expects to have a lot of fans in attendance throughout the year. So guys, someone might want to warn him. There is now a tax on tickets for players. Hopefully he knows that.
We got to take care of everybody when you're a local boy. Absolutely. And it's so far local boy making good. Last season in the minor leagues, Jake Barrett, a total 15 saves between Mobile and Reno, and struck out 51 batters in 53 innings. And we have seen power stuff, everything, as Chip Hale said the other day, coming out of Jake Barrett's hand right now is dominant.
You know, in a way, in a roundabout way, as this season progresses, Jake Barrett, this could be an audition for a different role for him moving forward with the Diamondbacks. As you mentioned, he is a power pitcher, guy that's used to pitching at the tail end of games, and you know, moving forward is possibly a guy you would look at as a closer.
Yeah. Tony Walters will hit for Nick Hundley to lead off the 9th. He won the backup catcher job in camp with the Rockies this spring, and the guy they picked up off the scrap heap from Cleveland, who hit about 400 during spring training.
Yeah, he is an interesting guy. He's only been catching for a couple of years. He was an infielder, played short, played second. He actually stole a couple bases in spring training this year. So not your prototypical backstop.
Jake Barrett right away gets ahead 0-2. He can play second base, shortstop, and catcher. Squirts one off the mound. Segura has it, one away. Don't forget, fans, day game tomorrow. We'll have it for you on Fox Sports Arizona. As the Diamondbacks, assuming they close this one out, have a chance to win the series, and that's what Chip Hale said last night. That's important. They got to win Tuesday to win the series, and that's the goal here. So a 12:40 first pitch, Patrick Corbin and Tyler Chatwood. And the Cubs come in for 4 starting on Thursday. Here's Ben Paulson. Brandon Barnes in the on-deck circle with the pitcher spot up next. Boy, 94 down and into the lefty. That will work.
You know, some guys are very fluid out there on the mound. Everything is very smooth. I tell you, Jake Barrett, he is max effort.
Look at this location. Yeah, it's, you worry about max effort guys, but he seems to get every ounce of his body behind every pitch, and Jake is a big dude out there. 6'2", 240.
Yeah, sometimes max effort breaking balls aren't exactly nice to the catcher. That one got up in the face mask of Wellington Castillo.
Remember that 9th inning that Welly had last night trying to get Silvino Bracho just to the finish line. Shift is on for Paulson. A ball and 2 strikes.
One nice byproduct for Jake Barrett, living here in the Valley, he got to participate in a lot of the off-season events that the Diamondbacks had, the Fan Fest and the
Winter Carnival.
Yeah, the winter holiday, what do they call it, holiday party. Yeah.
Yeah, I was handing out shoes with Jake Barrett and Braden Shipley. Great event that Diamondbacks do every year just before Christmas, right here in the field at Chase. Well, he has shown he can throw hard and command 3 pitches, the plus fastball, the plus slider, and an effective changeup. And he attacks guys out there. He's got that closer's mentality you like to see. He is not afraid of that spot. Missed down and away with that one, 2-2. Mentioned that Jake played at Desert Ridge High School in Mesa. He was a 3rd-round pick out of high school by the Blue Jays, but chose instead to go to college and pitched at ASU, and then the Diamondbacks got him with a 3rd-round pick in the 2012 draft.
There's a changeup at 87.
When you throw 97, that works, right?
Yeah, it sure does. And that's the pitch that might need some refining. Although if he ends up pitching, you know, late innings of a ball game, really, if he can command 2 pitches, it should be enough. But that changeup would really give him a 3rd weapon.
Out to Owings in center field. Seal on the run. He won't get there, and it one-hops the wall. Paulson, a ground rule double. Must be in the front row.
Well, Ben Paulson earned that extra base hit right there, battling against Jake Barrett. Finally gets a fastball down and out over the plate, right in his wheelhouse. Fortunately, stays in the ballpark. Book rule double for Paulson.
9th pitch of the at-bat. So he's at second with 1 out, and we'll get a look at Brandon Barnes. Barnes was hit by a pitch in his only plate appearance last night. Well, they've recalled him now, and they'll go with a right-hander, Ryan Rayburn.
No, they can't do that. I already wrote Barnes' name in the book.
Well, you got to use pencil.
That's right.
The governor taught me that. So Rayburn steps in. He hit into a fielder's choice last night in his only AB, as Walt Weiss went through his whole bench just about. Rayburn didn't sign with the Rockies until the first week of March. He was with Cleveland last year, where he had a good year. He's got some pop. 301 last season with the Indians. He got 8 home runs. Rockies really struggled against left-hand pitchers last year. They needed some right-hand power, so they got Reynolds and they got Rayburn. more time. Nick didn't even have to jump that time. Not much anyway.
No. He was ready to jump if necessary. That one might have been knuckling a little bit. Head high liner. Nick handles it easily. Well, not easily, but he handled it.
He just makes it look so easy. 2 down now for Christian Adames. D-backs looking to put a W up on the board for the first time in 2016 and a chance to win the series tomorrow afternoon. 95's in there for strike 1. So dating back to last season, this will make the Diamondbacks winners of 9 of their last 11 against the Rockies here at Chase. There's a bouncer to Segura, and the Diamondbacks are on the board in 2016. They win it 11-6. In a game they trailed at one point 6-2.
A team that just refuses to quit offensively, and what a great job, as you mentioned, by the bullpen tonight. Tyler Clippard, Daniel Hudson, and Jake Barrett putting zeros on the board to close it out.
Yeah, Diamondbacks pitchers retired 14 of the last 15 batters in the ball game. The only hit was the Paulson double off Barrett with 1 out in the 9th. And so the D-backs get their first win in 2016. They even the series at a game apiece, and they'll look to Patrick Corbin to take the series tomorrow afternoon at 12:40. First pitch against the Rockies, Tyler Chatwood. Diamondback Live postgame show is on the air. Joe Borowski standing by with Jody Jackson. Jody.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Well, what a great story, Jake Barrett. So much to talk about here on the postgame show. Joe, as you and I were making our way out here from the press box, the comeback was on, and you could kind of get the feeling. In fact, Tomas hit that ball so hard we saw it caught out here, but that's when they tied the game. And so we're going to break it all down. Rob Brenly will join us too. But what was most impressive to you as this team put together, you know, that 6th inning, getting 3 runs, and then 6 in the 7th?
Well, when we were sitting up there watching the game, we saw the 4th inning coming. We were like, oh no, not like yesterday. But Diamondbacks offense did a fantastic job. There were some very key at-bats during those innings that extended those innings and allowed them to score all those runs. We're going to break those down and show you exactly who contributed.
Yeah, and none bigger than Paul Goldschmidt really breaking this game wide open with a 3-run triple. So that's right, the Diamondbacks out-slugging the Rockies here tonight for their first win in 2016. 11-6 the final here tonight. Coming up on the post-game show, Kate Longworth will go inside the clubhouse, get reaction to this one, and we'll hear from the manager, Chip Hale, as always. Joe Borowski, Bob Brenly will break it down. Stay tuned. D-backs Live is next.